specific tempo, 140 BPM, and it also has a swing to it because dubstep is coming from a thing called two-step, which I'll play like a two-step rhythm. So it has that little bit of that swing feel in there, whereas the trap is like it's more straight 16ths. And then when you play dubstep with the halftime underneath the two-step, that's when it becomes dubstep. So like, that kind of so it's definitely a it still brings the tradition of swing into it, but it has that halftime groove, so it's all part of the tree, you know, it's all part of the whole thing.
Some of the highest stuff you do remind me of that groove of 777, 9311.
Oh yeah, don't ask me to play that, man. You ask me to play that. That's messed up, man. It's always one. If you,
now I want you to break it down for me though.
one of my favorite drummers. Oh, look at you. One of my favorite drummers is Lil Jon Roberts. He was started off with Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince when he was about 18, 19. And then he went to Janet Jackson and did all those big Janet Jackson tours. And then he just did the Stevie Wonder, Inner Visions. Now he's back with Janet. And so he's just, when you see him play, you're just like, I copied everything, you know, like the way he stands, like, you know, he just has a posture about him that, like, yeah, I see a lot of guys, you know, in the jazz world, like, they got this thing going on, or like, you know, like, yeah, and it's like, I don't think that's natural, and it's because, you know, it's not, like John, the way John drops his shoulders, and he has good posture, it's like, it's natural, you know, and it comes from, you know, Billy Cobham was the first ambidextrous drummer, and he has, you know, you look at how Billy plays, and, you know, he'll get into it, move stuff around, but most part, he's centered. You know, that's why I love Billy Cobham, you know, so John taught me a lot about posture, and there's a video of him playing 777, 9311, it's on the internet, and it's perfect. And he actually has a drum pad over here with the hand clap. So not only is he playing one of the most incredible beats that Prince programmed ever, but he also is playing 2 and 4 on the clap. Plus, so yeah, I'm not even gonna try to play it. I'm not gonna embarrass myself. But it's one of those beats that it's like the holy grail of funk weirdness or Minneapolis craziness that Prince was just messing around with on a Linn drum, you know. But a lot of drummers try to play it. I will not attempt to mess it up.
So going back to the kind of flatter trap hip hop sound, a lot of go-go bands, this is a question for Jungle, a lot of go-go bands kind of pick that up and make the bounce moves like really popular, kind of a straighter thing. What are Congo players playing on that? Is it like more timbale, cowbell?
Oh, on the new go-go stuff? I don't even know, yeah.
I could never get into it.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, you know, there's new bands, like, who's like the youngest, like, of the bands out right now?
T.O.B. AJA.
TCB and yeah.
T.O.B.
T.O.B.? What's that stand for?
Takeover Band.
Takeover Band? All right. I gotta check that out.
ABM. Reaction Band.
Reaction Band? Okay. These are bands I need to learn what they're doing. Cause
open hi-hat, man.
yeah, open hi-hat, I know. It's slowing it down. Yeah, yeah. Right. Is that? Yeah, I gotta. Grover Washington. Yeah. It all comes from Mr. Magic. Basically, Chuck was this is the story. Chuck was listening to. They were covering Mr. Magic, right? And then they started playing it all night, and they noticed the crowd was dancing. They didn't want to stop, so they would keep going. But Grover Washington has a record called Live at the Bijou, and if you've never heard that record, it actually has one of the best versions of Mr. Magic, and it was right before the go-go movement happened, and I'm sure, Chuck knew what was going on with that, So I was, Grover was a huge part of me growing up and being able to recognize a good sax player, Grover and Eddie Harris, and everyone should listen to other instruments and know your guitar players from your sax players, know your trumpet players, who's your favorite trombonists, every instrument that you can, because there's too many out there, but it's a never-ending search. Any other questions? Go ahead.
I want to know what some of your favorite drum books are, and also maybe some drummers you were influenced by on the jam and electronic scene that Break Science and Lennox are a part of.
Yeah, well, drum books, I started on the Ted Reed Syncopation book. I don't know if y'all know about that. But, what most people did with that, they would read the rhythms and play it with their left hand and swing with their right. So if the rhythm was da 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 da, you would go So you would just read this thing with your left hand, and then my dad was like, play a groove and play it with your foot, So next thing you know, I was reading these rhythms that were supposed to be played in a jazz idiom, but swinging them on the foot and playing 2 and 4 on the snare. So I was learning to, play a groove while learning to read. That's why I love the Ted Reed book, because it's open to your, however you want to, interpret those rhythms on whatever drum you choose to play it on. As far as EDM, that's as far as I got with books. Really, I did some snare drum etude stuff before Berkeley, but I never really got too heavy into it. What?
Your dad has a book, and I'm wondering.
Oh, my dad's got a book. That's right.
Any of the stuff that in that book, did he teach you as a little kid using some of those?
Yeah. I wasn't the easiest kid to teach. I extreme attention deficit disorder, and even though my parents were musicians and drummers, it was hard for them to teach me in normal ways that you would teach it. So that's what, if you have any students, or if you have a kid that you're trying to teach, every kid learns differently, and he's not going to learn the way you learn. And you have to find the way that they learn. And that's how I approach my lessons. I could tell, quickly, because of how the way I learn, what's easy for him to learn is not easy for me to learn. It's like, I don't have his brain. Like, he picks up things 1,000 times faster than I pick up things. So, my dad wrote this book called The Drummer in You, which is basically, it's a good present for anyone that always wanted to play, that wants to play beats and get that feeling of going like, like the simple good grooves for, young up and coming drummers, and it's based on a number system, just 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and he has they're all boxes. And that was because he taught in a high school for emotionally disturbed high school kids that were removed from their parents and became property of the state, and they were put into this school. And my dad was a music teacher there, and these kids have been through all kinds of family problems, all kinds of things you couldn't imagine. But when they got to meet my dad, he was able to show them how to get to the point of having fun on an instrument and grooving and playing a beat, and these kids' spirits would get so lifted, and it would really affect their lives for the positive. So he wrote this book based on how to teach those kids, and when I realized it just works on a lot of, people that don't think they can play. So if you ever get a chance, check it out. It's called The Drummer in You. and it's by Bobby Deitch. Anything else? Go ahead.
Wondering for you, like, where the line is between funk and hip hop, and like when one becomes the other. I feel like in Lettuce, you guys like blur the lines a lot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It doesn't matter. Do you think about it, or is it just?
Yeah, I mean, you know, certain things are removed. Like we have certain songs that are in the Tower of Power idiom that have way less to do with hip hop than, you know, so like one of our Dilla influenced songs. But you know, it's two different. It's part of the family tree. It's that simple. It evolved to a certain point from funk. There's no hip hop without funk, without what James Brown did, and without what he did. None of this hip hop thing wouldn't exist, you know. So it's just another part of the tree, of a different branch of the tree of groove. You know what I mean? But you know, you switch back and forth based on the song. You know what the song calls for. Basically, anything else? Go ahead.
Back to the whole field thing. If you could just speak on the topic of. First of all, let me just say, I love the trust between you two. I can hear it and I can feel it.
Mm-hmm.
But speak on the topic of playing with and without a click live. Playing with or without a click live.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I did bring this click thing. I might as well. Yeah. You know, playing with a click is a challenge, and playing with break science is, I'm playing with tracks a lot, and that's what a lot of drummers are doing nowadays. And you know, I look on these pop gigs, and everyone's playing with, you know, who's playing with Britney Spears or Janet Jackson or Justin Timberlake, whoever you're playing with. Most likely there's a track, most likely there's a click in there, and you have to just get to deal with it. You have to deal with it. And I practiced with hip hop records a lot, and you know, records that were recorded with drum machines, and I would play along with that, and just kind of got used to the feeling of it. My dad had an old drum machine, the Roland, not T808, it was like the 626 or 505 or something like that. And I used to practice with this drum machine. It was like my best friend. I'd put it by the drums, and every day I just put some, something like real robotic, and I would just go for hours and hours, and you know, it just kind of gets you into a vibe. But break science is an extension of, you know, what you could play over an electronic background and electronic drums, and try to figure out what you can do on the drums to accent what the electronic drums are doing. So I'll end with like a little break science thing. Thank you. That song in particular is based off, what we're talking about, the trap, Dirty South drum rhythms, that are programmed a lot. But, every song we have is based off a different rhythmic form or, of whatever's happening now. There's so many new, just simple bass drum patterns, simple snare patterns that are happening out there that I'm just trying to pay attention to. So that's what Break Science is based off of. And Lettuce is too, based off different beats, from the past and the future that we're just working on and working out. So it's a continual process just to try to make all the music just as rhythmically intriguing as possible, so we can have fun, playing a socket all night, or we could try other styles and try other other tempos. So it's all part of the exploration of the million and trillion rhythms you can play, basically. Few more, maybe last couple. Go ahead.
I have two questions for you.
All right.
Do any kind of exercises to keep your limbs in shape? And what else do you do to protect your hearing?
Am I deaf yet?
No, I mean, most of us, Are there any precautions you guys take?
Yeah, I've been wearing earplugs for years. I've just started using the inner ears. I don't know if y'all, just like the headphones that go inside here, and what they do is they plug that into the mixing board, on the side of the stage, or wherever you are, and you can hear the whole band in your ears, and you have a volume knob right here, or you can just get one of these little mixers and just have one microphone where you can just hear everything, and it just changes the whole game for me, and that's actually protecting my hearing. I'm not walking off and paying. So what I was doing was playing with 2 earplugs for half the night, and then getting frustrated and taking one out. And every night, the one that I took out would be, serious tinnitus, and I was like, I have to stop doing this. I have to really take my ears seriously and get the ears and put that thing, and it's amazing. The only thing that I miss is hearing the crowd. Now I'm just hearing the music. So you're taking a solo, the crowd might be going, but you can't hear them. So you're thinking, oh, is this solo not happening right now? What am I doing? I should have practiced, So it's kind of a weird, that's what happened to me last night, I heard the recording and the crowd was like, and I was like, oh. I really thought it was just like dead silence. And I was going for broke, But it's just like, it plays tricks on you. So now I'm going to have them put a mic for the crowd to feed into my headphones, and then I'll be all set. So that helps a lot. Go in the back. Okay.
I just got one question for younger Boogie over here. Who would inspire you to play concert?
Chuck Brown. I heard the Dennis Coffey song, Scorpio. Tried to get with that rhythm.
Who was that, Rolling at the time?
No, that was
Rolling on the two with Chuck.
on the 2 bongos. Yeah, he was playing the bongos. We the People.
Right.
Yeah, Dennis Coffey, Scorpio. Remember that song?
Real fast pace.
Dun 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 dun. Yeah. Da 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 da. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, stuff, stuff like that. Santana.
You know what you said, Danny, a lot of the guys, when you get into your craft, they just call them combos, but they got these conga, tuba, like the small ones, they follow the trend after Jungle Book, which is Rakuta, Kunga, Tuba. Right. But they don't know the names, they just follow the trend. Right. And I always would tell them, once you learn what your craft is, what you play? I play Kunga. Well, that's one of the drums. They got names, you know what I mean?
Yeah, a whole lot of people don't know that, Doc.
Considering that, I grew up listening to, go-go and everything, listening to R.E. and stuff of Cherries and everything. I just wanted to know who was fast, you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Listening